So just imagine that you have worked under a leader that was very intelligent, very brilliant, a leader who has actually given directions that have really turned out well. That leader is a leader like Moses, who would hear God's voice, who God would speak to face, as a man speaks to his friend. And then you're told all of a sudden, this leader will no longer be with you, you're the one to take over. How do you think Joshua felt? How would you have felt if it was you? You'd most likely feel like an imposter, okay? And that is actually what is called imposter syndrome. What is imposter syndrome? So imposter syndrome is that nagging feeling of insecurity and self-doubt, where in spite of your competencies and even past achievements, you feel like you will be soon exposed as a fraud. So if I can use simple language, it's like you're sitting in a chair, but you feel you are not suited or you're not qualified to sit in that chair. So you don't sit pretty. You're always, kind of fidgeting. And actually, this imposter syndrome, 72% of people report that it has hindered them at work. And additionally, 43% report that at least once a week, they feel like an imposter. So it's quite a thing. And maybe, and most likely, you have actually felt imposter syndrome at one point or another. Or even maybe you've just been promoted, or you've been assigned to a new role, congratulations, and you are struggling with that imposter syndrome. Now, the challenge with it also is that you could easily try now to overcompensate by overdoing things to prove yourself, which leads to burnout. Or alternatively, you decide now to play safe. So you don't take any risks, you don't want to disrupt the status quo, no creativity, nothing, So both those extremes are not good and are not right. So how can we deal with imposter syndrome? Are there tips to help us? Of course there are. I'll give you some of them. So number one, remember that promotion comes from the Lord. It is God who has ordained it that you should be in that position at this time and at this season for His own purpose and for His own pleasure. So even as scripture rightly puts it, I think Psalm 75, that says that promotion does not come from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south, but God is the judge. He exalteth one, He puts down another. So it is God who has promoted you to where you are. Remember that. So just as Joshua, it is God who actually had told Moses, begin to delegate some of your authority to Joshua, because you will not enter the promised land, but he will lead my people into the promised land. Number two, if you look back carefully on your life, you will notice a pattern. Whatever role you're being told to take on, most likely, there are things you have done in the past that have prepared you for this role. Going back to our case study, Mr. Joshua. Remember, even when the children of Israel had a challenge, when they were attacked by the Amalekites, remember when Moses had to lift up the rod of God on the hill with his hand? Who was leading the war in the valley? It was Joshua. When the Og king of Bashan and Sihon king of the Amorites came up against them, just when they were about to cross over into the promised land, Moses was still alive then, remember? Who was leading the battle? Most likely Joshua. So there are things that God has allowed you to do, the experiences God has allowed you to go through that have prepared you, have built your competence for this time and for this season. The last and final point is, there is no expert in this life. No. Even the leaders you think they have it all figured out, they have it all together, they also struggle with imposter syndrome. That's the reality. Because we don't have all the answers. Life is a mystery. Okay? So it is only the Lord who has all the answers. It is only Him who has all knowledge and has, the clear picture or the full picture of everything. So yours is to trust Him. Yours is to know that He's got your back and that He is willing to guide you through the process as you figure out yourself. But if it is to encourage you, is that even the leader you think is so confident also does it at some point or many points. They really don't know what to do, and they are also struggling with imposter syndrome. So I hope that helps. I hope that makes you feel better. If you keep these 3 points in mind, then most likely the the paralysis that is normally caused by imposter syndrome will continue to dwindle in your life and will probably even altogether disappear at some point in time, because you know that, well, no one has all the answers, so it's okay to try and at times fail. And Joshua experienced that. You remember the battle at AI? Or I know if I say AI, you think of artificial intelligence. Say I. Yes. Things didn't work out, but of course he went back to the drawing board. And God told him why things did not work out. So don't worry. God is with you and He'll help you through. I wish you all the best. Shalom Aleichem. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming back to Babu's Musings. It's always a pleasure to have you guys here. God bless you. Stay safe. Stay well.